now we're back with Matt from Hollands Country Clothing. You've been on our pod.
I have, yeah.
You have. How you doing? You well?
Yeah, good.
Welcome
mate,
to the Garden Centre Expo.
Busy.
Isn't it? It's good fun. Have you had a good day so far?
Yeah, it's been good. Yeah, just kind of meandered around, spoken to different people. Yeah, talked about the industry.
There's a lot going on. There's a lot going on. And so the reason we asked you to come on the T.E.A Talk, one, you're a lovely guy, and it's good to spend time together. But secondly, you're doing something very interesting right now, which is very different to anyone else we're going to have join us over these next couple of days. So you're in the process of exploring. You're exploring how you might buy a garden centre.
I know.
Is that right?
So when I've been walking around today, lots of people have been going like, "Oh, what do you do? Do you own a garden centre?"
Yeah.
Not yet.
Not yet. Come back to me next year.
Maybe. Yeah. So we're at that kind of explorative kind of stage where we're doing research. I've come today just to learn about the industry.
Sure.
Which is interesting. We'll maybe get onto that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Some of the businesses in it, you kind of raise your eyebrow. Are they doing everything they could be doing with marketing and stuff?
The answer is no. No, absolutely they're not. They're sitting on a gold mine for the most part.
Be here.
Absolutely, yeah. Everyone's got it absolutely nailed. We've got nothing to do. No.
Which is good for someone like me.
Yeah,
because while I don't think I'm doing everything perfectly on my website, we are marketers. That's what we do. We're a retailer, and I look at the industry and go, well, actually, there's a lot this garden centre's not doing, this one's doing. So when we're looking at buying somewhere, we're probably looking at buying South Manchester, Cheshire. There's a bit of money with targeted kind of premium customer. And I look at the garden centres there and I go, it's a bit lackluster. There's not as much energy and enthusiasm as there could be. So maybe...
Just for anyone who hasn't maybe watched our podcast video, so what is your core business at the minute then? Just give us a bit of perspective on what that is.
I sell country clothing online, so tweed jackets, wax jackets. I mean, safety footwear. We do kind of bits and pieces where it's for the working farmer as well. Okay. So kind of like that practical approach. Yep. But if you're into country lifestyle and you want to like kind of fit in the countryside, maybe maybe from a town or city originally, but you've made a bit of money, you moved out to the countryside, you want to fit in, you can buy Tattersall shirts from us.
Okay. And it's a legacy business, isn't it?
It's what you're wearing today?
Yes. Yeah.
He's
pretty
come on
much.
brand. I love it. So have we. Do we all have to? We've all got the memo. So it's a family business. It's been going for a long time.
Yeah. So I run it with my brother and sister, Sarah and Robert. Sarah's busy managing the teams at the farm today, so I can be here, and Robert's like kind of in charge of e-com and product creation and stuff like that. So we make a great team. They're maybe a little bit less crazy than I am, a bit more stable.
Well, you need the yin to your yang. Exactly. And you obviously that business is going great guns. You're doing some good revenues and so on. Yeah. But and so are you just seeing a garden centre as a next natural step then? And what appeals about it?
I think it's a bit of an unnatural step actually, because as a specialist online retailer, you become experts in that field. Yeah, absolutely. And we're good online retailers. We know what matters, what's important. So the easy thing to do would just be to stay in our lane. Sure. But I do look at online retailers and I think we touched on this in the podcast we did. Yeah. It's quite a dangerous industry. It's quite challenging, in my opinion, to stay where you are. And when I think about the future and my children or passing it on, it's a very difficult business to keep where you are. So I look at things like a more stable business would be maybe, and maybe I'm wrong, a physical location, somewhere where it's a destination. Sure. People want to come and visit you.
That's what everyone's talking about.
And they might go for a coffee. They might be going to buy clothing and then have a coffee.
It's a day out.
Yeah, it's a day out.
It's a destination, as you say.
And then kind of the whole garden centre idea. I did a podcast with James Sinclair, who you know. And then I had a one-to-one with him, and he mentioned garden centre as an idea, or like a farm shop or an equestrian centre. Something where people have to go to buy products or services, or they might want to be able to browse. And we also, as a business, we need a physical location to attract bigger brands. Sure. We're kind of operating in this mid to high tier at the moment. Sure. We don't work with Barber or anyone like that. Yeah. And I think to attract Barber, I need to have a physical location. Okay. So and I also know Barber's second biggest business account in the UK, so people buying wholesale from them, is a garden centre chain.
Okay, wow.
So that's an interesting statistic for you.
I guess from a marketing perspective, if I think about, and you and I have discussed this previously, but from a marketing perspective, we know that garden centres, for the most part, there's a lot of opportunity when it comes to marketing and how garden centers could do a lot more, particularly online. And, you do a lot of you know how to market online. You're doing it yourself. You're managing hundreds of thousands in ad spend and paid media and so on every year. So you've got that skills, those expertise. So I guess your plan is then, if you could deploy that expertise into a garden center that's not doing it well, maybe relying on legacy, relying on the older school marketing.
I think it's like a two-pronged approach for us. When we acquire this garden center, this location, it becomes a destination for our customers who want to browse our products. So within the garden centre, there'll be a Hollands concession, if you like.
Nice.
And then separate to that, we're going to then, because we've got a garden centre, the business group will gain access to a tremendously wider scope of products. And we could launch hollandsgarden.co.uk or something like that. Or maybe it becomes one big domain that is the destination for everything, country, garden and home. Maybe that's what we become.
Just from a pure techie perspective, do you have a favourite of those two scenarios you've just, from a pure website?
From an SEO and a page
I'm just curious which side of you're leaning towards.
So I would say that I think there's riches in niches, and I think if you end up with a very broad website, the consumer, when they land on it, if they're landing on one of the main pages, say the home page, it can be a bit disorientating if you've got garden products, so garden furniture, country clothing, equestrian, and maybe garden pots or something like. So for me, I don't think that really works. I think you're better off having satellites and funnels, put them all, but the consumer be aware that they're on a Hollands site.
Sure. So that consistency in look and feel and brand and so on. But different destination sites.
So you'd have Hollands country clothing, and then you'd have Hollands. Well, we have Hollands workwear for a reason. We've got Hollands long coats, which is a niche website on long waterproof coats. And then
so you're creating an ecosystem, essentially, an online ecosystem.
Different kind of what's it called? Buckets. Different buckets of things that we can go into. So that's kind of
interesting. So, where are you have you found anywhere that you quite like it? Can you say
we're based on the Cheshire Derbyshire border on the family farm, a little village called Disley, and we.
My neck of the woods.
Yeah, there we are. So
I'm from Cheshire.
Cheshire. Whereabouts in Cheshire?
Little Sutton, near Ellesmere Port.
Ellesmere Port. I'm not sure that's Cheshire.
It is Cheshire. Well, there's a reason I moved away.
I was going to say. No. Well,
we just lost a bunch of subscribers.
Sorry,
it's fine.
It's like an offshoot of Liverpool, isn't it? No, we're Cheshire Derbyshire border, and there's this kind of like wealth triangle which is like Prestbury, Nantwich, Wilmslow. There's like these really wealthy areas, and I think that belt in South Manchester, commuter belt to Manchester. There's also a lot of people that live and go down to London as well. It's quite an affluent area. So there is a couple of premium garden centres, but there isn't a premium garden centre that does country as well. And I think there's a gap in the market for us in that area. Have we identified the specific garden centre yet? No. So if there's any family businesses that have been trading a long time and want to
exit,
leave the nest and just sell up, then let me know. But I think for us, it's about finding somewhere that's going to make a really good foundation. And then it'll become the Hollands HQ. And we can build loads of things onto it.
Before we go any further, if you're enjoying today's Tea Talk, you'll love our Grow with Evergreen podcast. Specifically created for home, garden, and lifestyle brands, it's a podcast dedicated to discussing paid media and marketing. Every episode, we're joined by a brand that wants to grow online. We delve into their business, dissect what they're doing, and define a digital growth strategy they can take and deploy into their business. And best of all, you get to listen or watch along, then take those learnings into your own business. Make sure you check it out on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. But for now, let's get back to today's Tea Talk.
So here's a question then. So are you looking for a garden centre, in terms of, if we think about their digital maturity, from what you're seeing, you're out there, you're looking, you're talking to people, what are you seeing in terms of the maturity of garden centres from a digital perspective?
I think independent garden centres, well, I know, they are pretty poor online. So if it's an independent garden centre, most likelihood is they're not ranking for any keywords. The website is clunky. I saw a garden centre had won an award or something in my local area. I won't name them, but you'll probably be able to work it out, Garden Centre of the Year. But I went on their website and there was no security certificate.
Wow.
And I was like, what?
It's like going back 15
I was like,
years, isn't it? It's
what?
unbelievable.
It was like Dreamweaver days, like we discussed, like, you had to buy a separate certificate. So see a little bit of that.
Yeah.
I think the chains, they are digitally aware. They're probably paying an agency or maybe an agency that's almost in-house to manage a website, a dev agency.
Yeah.
Very expensive. Are they doing a good job? No. Do I want to become a national garden centre chain? No, I don't. I want to be a boutique, premium destination.
Are you
in the
looking
Northwest.
for a garden centre? What appeals to you more? Do you see it as an opportunity, challenge to? Are you looking for one where there's a lot of they're not doing e-commerce. Do you want to identify one where you can go in and go, they're not even doing the basics? Or are you looking for one that's a bit more mature, a bit more established, where you go, they're doing it well and I want to improve it?
Somewhere between the two.
Okay.
So I would say, I don't want something that's very clunky and archaic. I'd like there to be an okay POS system in there.
You've just shrunk your market,
Yeah.
You've just reduced your options.
I mean, would I accept something that has no systems in place and is just run on traditional garden centre vibe? Absolutely, so we would go for that. Ideally, though, you'd go for someone that is partially digitally aware. Probably, I don't know, 2 to 3, maybe 4 million quid, something like that.
Where do you sit I'm just curious on this, where do you sit in terms of the perspective of e-commerce within garden centres? Do you think it's a good thing? Because that's a conversation we're having quite a lot with garden centres, is to go e-com or not, to sell online.
I think it's a hyper-competitive space, and as a physical retailer, if that is what you know and that's what you're good at, and you have excellence in that area, I would focus on that.
Yeah.
However, there is a certain breed where there is opportunity if they've got a story to tell. And they're passionate about their story. I think online is fantastic. You can do video content, which we need to do within our business more of. But if you've got a story to tell and you can put that online so people can read about it, and I think that's storytelling exactly. So we've got a bit of a family business history, and we tell a little bit of story on our website. Probably need to do more of it, but I think there's a gap. If you're not just a boring garden centre, and there isn't any boring garden centres out there. Most of these are family businesses.
Absolutely,
So really, they should have websites, and it should be about telling their story and trying to attract customers in my opinion.
I think where I'm increasingly starting to realise that I'm sitting with garden centres thinking about e-com, because we spoke to lots today alone, and what do you think? Should we? Shouldn't we? We've been toying with it. We've been, and I think for me, I'm increasingly saying that I think the ability for garden centres to transact online, I think, is a really good thing. If you think about what they're selling and who they're selling to and stuff like that, I think the ability, as far as e-commerce, in terms of I want to be an e-retailer, I think, as you say, it's very difficult. But I think the ability to transact online and then maybe pick up in store, I think that is very interesting.
To do it properly, like if you're a fantastic garden centre and everything's going well physically, you kind of have to do a really professional job online, in my opinion. You can't do an amateur job online, so you need to bring in expertise, a third party like Evergreen maybe,
exactly that.
To advise and consult with you. But ultimately, you still have to own it in-house, in my opinion. You have to have someone in-house building the website. You have to do that. You need to be on Shopify. Don't end up on any other platform. Just avoid anything else, in my opinion. But I also think it's about the products that you sell. If you're selling tat, cheap, nasty stuff you can buy on eBay, but there's no point being online. If you are selling brands that people are searching for and want to buy, and they want to buy for a respectable retailer, not Amazon. Not saying Amazon aren't respectable, maybe they are. I think there's a big opportunity.
I think there is.
There's some really nice brands out there that garden centres sell, but there's also a lot of tat. Don't sell tat online, because you'll get nowhere.
No, exactly. And I think, I say, it's building on from that. I think it's thinking about what types of products, and also who your customer is and who's buying. I think really understanding who your customer is, which again goes back to a recurring theme of understand your customer, understand your market, understand their buying behaviors. Because as we think about, a big theme from this show has been the younger audience, and but younger, we're not talking 20-year-olds, we're talking 40-year-olds. They're moving up into, to reference James Sinclair, a woofty, who's well off over 50s, right? And they are incredibly digitally savvy. they are very happy and comfortable buying online.
Yeah.
And so I think giving that option of like, yeah, you can come in store, or maybe you've been in store, but now you can buy it online, or you've seen it online, you can come in store.
Yeah.
I think that cohesion is really good.
That idea of like even like having a click and collect.
I think for certain gardens, that's really powerful.
I think there's like marketing opportunities when you think about my business as well. So you can advertise, click and collect at checkout. They can come to the Hollands HQ or whatever you want to call it. And as they collect the order, you can go, here's a free coffee in the store.
There you go.
There's really not, and I think from a garden centre perspective, you can do similar things. Like free coffee to people when they buy something at checkout. It's just like a no-brainer. Or
why people go to Waitrose.
Yeah, exactly. There's so many things.
Yeah.
And the other thing, just to why do Hollands want to buy a garden centre? We're a very seasonal business. So we're very, very busy October through to January, quiet in May, June, July, August, and it's opposites. So it'll make my business much more profitable.
Just level it out.
And what I'd be looking for is a site where I can put a small warehouse on it as well. So I can have my operations team in there in winter. And then in the summer when it quietens off, they can go and help in the garden centre when it's busy. So that's the kind of business strategy there as well.
It's interesting. Well, there you go.
Good plan.
Very interesting. Well, look, so if you are, there you go. There's the big takeaway from this one, is if you're looking to sell your garden centre, you know where to go. Get in touch with Matthew Holland of Holland's Country Clothing. I think, Matt, thank you so much for coming on. Really interesting to get that perspective. Very different. There's not going to be too many people walking around here thinking they want to buy a garden centre, which is, I think, really interesting.
Crazy enough,
it sounds like a smart move. And I think, you know, again, it's reinforced this. I think there's so many garden centres from a marketing perspective. You know, there's a lot of opportunity for garden centres to really just, you know, do so much more online. And there'll be people like you that will come in with that experience and that approach that can just explode that growth online.
I think it's just
it to a whole new level.
Enthusiasm. That's what people need.
It's energy, effort, and enthusiasm. And if you bring that, and this sector is ripe for people to come in, whether they come in through acquisition or just actually come in by thinking, do you know what, I'm going to take this a bit more seriously, put a bit more time, effort, and energy into it. I think the consensus I'm seeing from all of the conversation we're having is actually there's such an opportunity to really take things, and there's going to be, to a degree, even though we're, you know, where we are in 2024, there's a first mover advantage, which is really interesting. So massive thank you for coming on. It's been good fun. Love it. There you go.
Cheers, guys.
If you enjoyed this episode and want to see more, well, on the left side of the screen, you'll find a video that YouTube has hand-picked just for you. On the right, you'll find our latest video hot off the press. And don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments, subscribe, and hit that notification button. Thanks for watching.